My name is Marcus Miller. I'm the winemaker here at Airfield Estates. We are a family winery. My dad that's a grower, I'm the winemaker. My sister helps out with the marketing and producing print material for us. And we have a family vineyard that started producing grapes in the Yakima Valley in 1968. For Washington, that's a pretty nice history to have. And I've been doing that for the last 40 years, and been selling a lot of grapes to Chateau Ste. Michelle, more recently Hogue Cellars, and in the last 3 or 4 years a host of wineries throughout Washington and Oregon. And in 2005 we decided it was time to really promote our vineyards and start making wine ourselves. And so we started Airfield Estates and have just been growing and producing wines ever since, and it's been a wild ride, but we are really enjoying it. We have our vineyard is 850 acres, so it's a rather sizable vineyard. These days there's those guys that produce several thousand acres, and we're not the big dog in Washington wine grape growing, but at 850 our little boutique winery is really taking about 8% currently.
I would suspect you are getting the A+ stuff.
We try to, with a lot of these, they're contracts with Chateau Ste. Michelle, and so 6 or 7 tons an acre is pretty standard on those contracts. Mm-hmm. We'll never crop even our whites at that level. It's more 4 to 5 on the white side, mm-hmm. and 2.5 to 4 on the reds, depending on varietal. So, I'm out there once a week. While Dad oversees the whole operation, I'm there in the growing season overseeing my vineyards, making sure everything's getting done that needs to produce the best quality grapes. The original purchasers of the land was my great grandfather. So it's really been, I'm the 4th generation to farm the land. But it was really kind of in that transition period where my grandfather was really in charge, but my dad was coming on, mm-hmm. when we planted those first grapes. So the grapes have really been the last 2 generations of us, me and my father. So our vineyard has always been named Airport Ranches, and that's because of the unique history that the vineyards are located on a World War II air base. During 1942, for some reason, they decided to build a small air base on our property. One of the things that we've always speculated, we have no concrete proof, but just over the Rattlesnakes on the other side, you get into the Hanford range, and there was definitely a lot of top secret stuff going on early 40s that they were wanting to protect. So we think that might be one of the reasons why the the air base was located where it was. Mm-hmm. And they erected several hangars, a mess hall, troop barracks, and a water tower. And so after they left in 44, 45, we retained all the buildings, and still to this day have a couple of the old hangars out there that we farm out of. I had grown up in the vineyards. I had spent every summer since I was in middle school training grapes. As I got into college, I worked for Chateau Ste. Michelle as a viticultural intern. So I was trained on that end, and while it was helped to pay for some of my bills, it wasn't the greatest joy of my life. It was very hot, sweaty, especially in our family vineyards. Very few of my coworkers could speak English well enough to communicate with me, and I had been told early on that by my Spanish instructor that I was not very good language-wise, and especially Spanish. So it was always a challenging summer to be out there in the vineyards. So I went off to school. I studied business as an undergrad, went and worked in finance for a while, then got my MBA in finance. Something about being in a cubicle, and I was young, I had a lot of energy, and I just wasn't as exciting and thrilling as I had thought the investment industry would be. And so I started thinking that the vineyard was sounding better and better. So after graduating from my MBA program, I decided to come home and at least be able to tell my dad one way or the other whether I was interested in continuing the family legacy. And when I got back, right away we were butting heads, and Dad was telling me I should be out there on the sprayer, and I'm like, Dad, I've got all these brain cells. I've just learned so much. You really want me, spraying, pesticides and fungicides, and it just didn't seem like it was going to work out. And then, every February we have the WEG convention, and it was 2003, and Ted Basler was speaking on the quality of Washington wines, and he was using as a reference the top 100 lists for Wine Spectator, and how I think that year it was 12 out of 100 of the top wines were Washington. And it just all of a sudden dawned on me how lucky and fortunate I was to be in the position I was with the family vineyard, and I was blown away with the quality I was hearing about from Washington wines, and where I had just been from academia, I could relate quite a bit better to the winemakers than I could to the farmers. And so I found kind of a peer group, found people that I felt I fit in with, thought that the idea of playing around in a winery was a lot better than toiling away on a hot field in the sun. So I immediately gravitated to the wine portion and said, Dad, I'm going in this direction. I'll be there to say hi to you, but I'm not going to be on the vineyard. And a few years later, my dad started to see the ability I was beginning to show and my passion for wine. And after tasting the wines and thinking they were starting to be pretty good, Dad was like, hey, I think the time's right, Marcus. I think we need to launch our own brand.